I got asked this: what are the best strategies for successful networking? I'll give you 10 really powerful tips. There are dozens and dozens of things that you need to understand about networking, but I'm going to start with these 10 really important tips. First of all, who am I? I'm a LinkedIn strategist, trainer, and coach. I go by the name of Teddy. I started using LinkedIn, including LinkedIn networking, in 2007. I have a YouTube channel that has just hit over 1,600 videos, all about LinkedIn as a business tool, including LinkedIn networking. I've got a Quora channel with over 7,400 answers and 15.6 million views. Again, the majority of them are about LinkedIn as a business tool, including networking. I got my LinkedIn profile is right here. My YouTube channel's here. My Quora profile's here. Go follow me on those spaces, and I promise you, I'll give you content that can help you be better at both using LinkedIn as well as networking. So here are my top 10 best strategies for networking. First of all, networking is about finding, developing, and nurturing relationships that mutually move people forward through life. There is nothing in there about selling. There is nothing in there about asking for a job. It's all about humans, connecting with humans, and finding ways to get into conversations and help each other. It's called networking for mutual benefit. And if you're not networking for mutual benefit, then you're missing out on the most powerful way to grow a meaningful and relevant network that can help you, because you care enough to show them that you care by helping them where relevant and appropriate. Here's the second big tip. Purposeful networking, focused on your target audience and their influencers. Don't go out just to meet people for the sake of meeting people. If you're using the word networking, you absolutely need to be doing it purposefully. You need to be focused on why are you networking and who is it that you want to network with? Who is it you want to connect with? Who is it that you want to get into a conversation with? And when you focus on your target audience and their influencers, it gives you a greater opportunity to find the right people. Network to connect, not to sell. The worst thing that you could do when you're networking is lead with, hey, I got this product. I want to talk with you about selling it to you. That will fail miserably. It is not a long-term tactic and will not produce values. Network to connect, and then work through some of the other processes to get to the point where you can have that business conversation. And don't just connect, as I just alluded to, move to conversations. When you connect with someone, whether you connect with them on LinkedIn or Instagram, or you get an email message, or you meet them in real life, I don't care how you connect with people. Once you connect, you want to move to a conversation. That's critical. Otherwise, all you've done is made a connection. And it's sort of along the lines of collecting a bunch of business cards, and they don't do you any good unless you move that business card into a connection that can move to a conversation. Number 5, I repeat, do not try to sell while networking. This is absolutely going to fail miserably, because when people are networking, they are not interested in being sold to. They're interested in meeting other people. They're interested in getting into relevant conversations. They're interested in getting into interesting conversations. So focus on networking to connect. Focus on networking to build some level of trust, respect, and maybe even like. And then we can move to that sales process later on, and it'll be far more successful doing it that way. Make the first conversation, if not more than the first conversation, but make that conversation all about the other person until they give you permission to make it about yourself. Dale Carnegie taught me that. Make the conversation all about the other person. And I add that other piece, until they give you permission to make it about you. And by the way, if you do this right, good people who are relevant to you are very likely to say, now tell me about you. Tell me about your business. But that won't happen unless you first make the conversation about them. If you discover a little bit of interest, if you discover that what you do is relevant, if you discover that there may be a potential conversation, don't jump to a sales process. Don't jump into the sales routines. Instead, invite the person that you're talking to a conversation. Say to them very clearly, this appears to be something that may be of relevance to you, or you appear to be a little bit interested in knowing a little bit more. Are you open to that conversation now? When you invite someone to a conversation, two things are happening. Number one, they are more likely to say yes. And if they do say yes, they are more likely to pay attention to you. But if you jump straight into the sales process when you're networking without permission, then they may start tuning you out. And that doesn't help you or them. Number 8, show up where your target audience shows up. Show up where their influencers show up. Remember, influencers are the people who can introduce you to your target audience. Don't just network everywhere. If you're focused on C-level conversations, you may not want to go to chamber meetings. You may not want to go to BNI meetings. You may, but you may also want to consider Vistage. You may want to also consider C-level mastermind groups or C-level roundtables. So think about, where is my target audience and what's the easiest way for me to get to them or get connected to them. So think about, where is the target audience and where is the influencer, and be clear to yourself when you're networking, why am I at this space? Am I at this space to have a good time? That's okay if that's what you want to do. Am I in this space or at this event because I want to find the influencers? Or am I in this venue, at this meeting, at this conference because this is where my target audience hangs out? Be clear about showing up where your target audience shows up. And get into relevant conversations. I often see people networking, especially through social media. They think the way to network is to barf out their content, their case studies, their white papers, their testimonials, and all that stuff. That's not networking. That's pushing content out in front of people and hoping and praying they'll trip over it and want to read it. If you want to really network effectively, you need to get into ongoing conversations. Maybe the conversation that was started by your target audience. Maybe a conversation started by their influencers. Maybe conversations that are highly relevant to them, but maybe not highly relevant to you, but yet still relevant. So go find conversations that are going on in real life and through social media that are relevant and meaningful and important to your target audience, and show up in those conversations without hijacking the conversation, which means don't make it all about you. Number 10, go for multiple points of connection. This is really powerful. Don't just say, oh, I'm going to connect with everybody on LinkedIn. LinkedIn's an important piece of it. But you may also want to connect with them in real life. You may want their business card. You may want their email address, their phone number. You may create enough of the right connection that you might want to follow them on Instagram or Twitter. Or maybe if you connect with them in a meaningful life way, you might want to connect with them on Facebook. But bottom line is, you need to connect with your target audience, whom you want to network with, in multiple different ways, because those multiple different channels or connection points can create other opportunities for conversations. The last one, never forget to follow through. Don't miss out on a conversation. If someone messages you, they email you, they leave you a voicemail message, whatever it is, whatever channel they use to get to you, you cannot forget to follow through. I've seen many, many leaders in business who didn't pay attention to their email, didn't pay attention to their LinkedIn messages, did not pay attention to their LinkedIn invites, and their target audience reached out to them and they never responded. Never forget to follow through. I'm Teddy Burriss. I teach networking skills. I teach the use of LinkedIn as a business tool. I teach the use of Google Workspace as a business tool. I think it's important to understand how to network effectively and how to use different tools to create the best possible results when you're networking for business or career. Thank you for letting me share this with you. I hope it provides you lots of value.